Imagine a predator who stalked his victims across California for over a decade, committing over 50 rapes, 13 murders, and countless burglaries. A dark, ominous background with a silhouette of a man in a hood standing under a streetlight, evoking mystery and danger. Use muted tones like black, gray, and navy blue, with glowing text that reads, "The Golden State Killer, Crime, Copyright, and Controversy. California in the 1970s. Between 1974 and 1986, an unidentified man terrorized California, a retro 1970s California street at night. Lined with vintage cars and dimly lit houses, the scene should feel eerie, with a hint of suspense and danger. The Golden State Killer's methods. His methods were meticulous. He would prowl neighborhoods, enter homes undetected, and instill terror long before he struck. A dark figure peeking through a window of a suburban home at night, with shadows cast dramatically. The interior shows a cozy but vulnerable atmosphere. Evidence of fear. After decades of cold trails, it wasn't until 2018 that Joseph James DeAngelo was arrested. Close-up of a pair of gloved hands holding old black and white photographs of crime scenes, placed on a wooden table with scattered notes and files. The role of genetic genealogy, the tool that cracked the case? Genetic genealogy, an emerging forensic technique, a futuristic DNA helix, glowing in blue and white, with digital connections branching out to family trees. The background is dark to highlight the glowing helix. DNA ownership debate. Who owns this genetic information? Is it the person who submits it, the platform hosting it, or the law enforcement agencies using it? A close-up of a hand holding a vial of DNA with a blurred legal document and police badge in the background. The scene is symbolic of ethical dilemmas, Michelle McNamara's influence. Now, let's talk about another key player in this story, Michelle McNamara, a woman working late at night in a dimly lit study, surrounded by stacks of crime files and a glowing laptop. The mood is determined and focused. The book I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Her book reignited public interest in the case. A pristine hardcover book titled I'll Be Gone in the Dark on a desk, surrounded by scattered notes and a coffee cup, illuminated by soft lighting. Intellectual property of true crime narratives. But who owns the narrative? When writing about real events, how do copyright and fair use apply? Two overlapping books, with one labeled True Crime Stories and the other Copyright Laws. A scale of justice sits between them. Cold case files. The facts themselves, the crimes, dates, and public records, are not subject to copyright. Open cold case files spread on a detective's desk with mugshots, handwritten notes, and crime scene maps. The scene is dimly lit with a focus on the files. Ethical content creation. Ethical content creation in the true crime genre demands respect for victims and their families. A vintage microphone in a recording studio with a notebook and a framed photo of a family on the desk, symbolizing ethical storytelling. Joseph James DeAngelo's capture. When DeAngelo was finally arrested and charged in 2018, a police mugshot of an older man with cold, piercing eyes. The background is a gray, prison-style wall with height markings. Courtroom drama. His sentencing raised questions of ownership. A dramatic courtroom scene with a spotlight on a judge's gavel. The background shows a packed courtroom in muted tones. Public interest. Could the victims and their families claim a right to their own stories? A close-up of a victim's tear-streaked face holding a framed photograph of a loved one with a blurred courthouse in the background. DNA evidence in crime solving. It's a story of innovation and the unintended consequences of technology. A lab technician in a sterile laboratory examining DNA samples under a microscope, with computers in the background displaying genetic data. The victims remembered. It's important to respect the victims and their families in true crime storytelling. A memorial table with candles, framed photos of victims, and flowers, softly lit to convey a solemn, respectful atmosphere.